Welcome to the show. Your growth looks strong. Your pipeline is full. But if your CAC takes 14 months to return, you're not scaling. You're financing your own growth. And that is exactly what we're unpacking today with Benny Fluman, Dan Mercer, and Brian Newman.
Welcome to MATCH B2B Insights. I'm Benny Fluman, and Brenda just gave the real tension in one line. Most teams treat CAC like a cost efficiency metric. I don't. CAC Payback is a time metric. It's the question underneath the question. How long is your company carrying the cost before the business gets its money back?
Right. And from a CFO sit, the phrase that matters there is carrying the cost. Not pipeline, not meetings, cash. If payback stretches past your cash window, what breaks first? Hiring pauses. Sales capacity freezes. Then management starts calling it a market issue when it's really a timing issue.
And the quiet part is that GTM causes a lot of that stretch. Bad lead quality adds calls that go nowhere. Weak conversion means you pay for activity without getting deals. Long enterprise cycles delay everything. So when someone says, our CAC is fine, I usually want to ask, fine from which channel and converted by whom?
Dan, you said, what breaks first? Grab that for us. If a company has, say, decent top-line growth, but the payback window keeps drifting out, what actually snaps?
Usually flexibility. That's the first casualty. You can't hire ahead. You can't absorb misses. You become dependent on the next quarter behaving nicely, which quarters rarely do. Pipeline is a story. Cash is the ending.
That line, flexibility. I think that's the token people miss. They're not just losing margin, they're losing options.
Exactly. And this is why ROI alone is too shallow. A campaign can look attractive on paper over 24 months and still damage the company in the next 6. If the return arrives too slowly, the GTM engine creates pressure instead of resilience.
Yes, marketing decks love the phrase over time. Finance has to live inside that phrase.
That is the most Dan sentence possible.
But he's right. I've seen outbound teams celebrate booked meetings while payback is getting worse. Why? Wrong ICP. SDRs win the meeting, AEs inherit a weak opportunity, sales cycle goes long, close rate drops, onboarding gets heavy, and suddenly the original acquisition cost was the cheap part.
And that's the match lens. We don't separate CAC payback from GTM architecture. Segment choice changes it. Offer design changes it. SDR quality changes it. Conversion between stages changes it. You don't fix payback by staring at a spreadsheet harder. You fix it by rebuilding the path from message to money.
So let me try this back, maybe a little too simply. CAC payback is not, did marketing work? It's, when does the business recover the cash across the full revenue motion?
Almost. The missing part is fully loaded. Marketing, sales, handoff friction, sometimes onboarding load. If those costs sit outside the model, the payback number becomes a comforting lie.
And CFOs are paid to be allergic to comforting lies. Or just allergic in general.
Okay, that's our official humor moment. Brian, before we go into numbers, give me the field version. What are the 3 GTM mistakes that quietly make payback longer?
First, poor targeting. Wrong accounts mean lower reply quality and lower close rates. Second, inconsistent messaging. If the message lands with curiosity but not urgency, deals stall. Third, channel blindness. Teams lump outbound, partner, and inbound together, then wonder why payback looks blurry. If you don't measure by segment and channel, you can't see the leak.
And that tees up the core point. Strong pipeline can still be structurally weak if cash comes back too late. That's where the metric stops being academic and starts becoming survival. Let's make this concrete. Say a company has fully loaded CAC of $45,000. ARR per customer is $120,000. Gross margin is 70%. Cash is collected after 75 days. On paper, you're looking at roughly a 7 to 10-month payback. But, and this is the part people skip, if onboarding and support are high, that 7 to 10 can stretch fast. Benny, what's the trap in that example?
The trap is that executives hear $120,000 ARR and relax too early. But ARR is not cash recovered. Margin matters. Collection timing matters. Delivery burden matters. If the segment needs heavy post-sale work, the company is financing more of the journey than the top-line number suggests.
And the 75 days matters more than people think. 75 days is not a footnote. That's 2.5 months before meaningful cash even starts showing up. Add a long sales cycle before that, and you've built a very expensive waiting room.
A very expensive waiting room is going to stay with me. Dan, here's the conflict moment. You say if payback is above 12 months, you slow down growth.
I do. If payback is above 12 months, I start asking why we're accelerating at all. Walk me through the math. What breaks if conversion drops 20%? What happens if collections slip another 30 days? If the answer is, we'll manage, that's not an answer.
I don't fully agree. 12 months is not a universal red line. It depends on segment and capital structure. Enterprise motions can justify longer payback if retention is strong, expansion is real, and the company has the balance sheet to support it. A blanket rule can make you underinvest in the right market.
That's fair, but only with conditions. Capital structure is doing a lot of work in that sentence. A well-funded company can tolerate a longer recovery curve. A company trying to grow without external funding cannot pretend it's the same game.
Wait, explain that again? What breaks first when payback gets too long? Because I want the listener to hear the distinction between strategically acceptable and dangerous.
Sure. If payback gets too long, the first thing that breaks is your ability to absorb variance. 1 quarter of weaker conversion, 1 delayed payment cycle, 1 hiring plan you already committed to. Now you're tight. That's the danger. Not the number by itself, the fragility around the number.
Yes, that's the clarification. So the real debate is not 12 months versus 13. It's, for this segment, with this funding model and this GTM design, can the business carry the recovery time? That's a much sharper question.
And this is where execution and AI become useful. Not magical, useful. AI can flag payback by segment before finance sees the full damage in cash. It can spot that outbound to one vertical closes slower, or that demo to proposal conversion is leaking in another. If you connect CRM, funnel stages, and collection timing, you can see which segment is drifting from 8 months toward 11 before it becomes a board problem.
So not AI writes emails and saves the quarter. More like AI sees the leak in the pipe while it's still a leak.
Exactly. And then humans fix the motion. Message, ICP, cadence, qualification, handoff. AI can identify patterns. It can't rescue a bad GTM strategy by itself.
And that's why we talk about a 6-month model. You don't fix payback in 1 quarter. This requires a structured 6-month system. Segment the channels, clean the offer, improve conversion points, tighten qualification, and track time to cash. That's GTM infrastructure, not campaign tweaking.
I'm fine with ambition. I just need to know who's paying for it, and when the cash comes back.
That's the close, honestly. So here are the 3 takeaways. First, CAC payback is a metric of time, not just cost. Second, you need to measure it by segment and by channel, because blended averages hide real problems. Third, healthy growth is growth the company can actually finance. If you want to build a more effective GTM system for your company, you can reach out directly. WhatsApp or call Benny Fluman at 052-420-3043. Benny, Dan, Brian, thank you.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you.
Great to be here.